Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, welcome to this other session, a new session. My name is Kenya Revolutionary. For another version, quick version of Sunday Funday, I'll just give you a quick rundown of today's session. So, hey, if you're going to join me or you're going to join me on repeat, you're going to watch this on repeat, please, if it's your first time, go ahead and subscribe to this channel if you're interested in Kenyan politics, Kenyan news, or international news as it relates to Kenya. Okay, this is a place where you can get your political nutrients. I am your political dietitian. I shall provide you with the nutrients that you need to help you grow politically and be strong and help you dissect what's happening in our great country, Kenya. Okay, so karibu sana. I see Peter Kaur as usual. Please go hit that like button immediately. Okay. Again, if you're already subscribed and you are not a new person in here, you know the first order of business is to like the video. Go ahead and like it and subscribe in case you just haven't subscribed. I know you've already done that, so go ahead and like the video. That's the first order of business. Share, comment, and do all the good stuff. I won't stay here for long because tomorrow is Monday. Everyone has to go back to work. But there's a few things that we need to address and kind of make it clear because the narrative is changing. As you can see, the name of the game is confusion. Confusion. That's what's happening today in Kenya as far as the political atmosphere, the political discussions are concerned. Why do I say this, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, and comrades? Why am I saying that confusion is the name of the game? Now, ask yourself the number of people who are popping out, who are claiming to be running for the presidency, okay? Now, you can be like, oh, you know what? The election is almost here, clear to now election, so we need a candidate. We need somebody. Since everyone seems to be rejecting everyone, the so-called opposition are not palatable politically. No one is buying their crap because they are the same old folks. And of course, Ruto is not an option. Another 10 years or 5 years is just torture. That's not it's a no-go there, okay? So who do people want? And then you have all these people who are now running around with the Selassie, claiming that he's running for president. You know very well that Sudi is, and NIS probably is paying him to run around and, scatter the votes for the Western province, in the Western province. Okay, there's Natembeya, there's, you get the point, okay? And then there's this fake, the young folks that are claiming to be the, what is it called? Revolutionary Alliance. The Caswells, the Moraras, and the Fanya Mambo, Kinuthia, whatever his name is, and the rest of them are claiming to be, we are the clean people. We are the ones who are not associated with this political class. We have fresh ideas. We are young. We qualify. How about us? Like I said, the name of the game is what? Confusion. That's the name of the game. It's to confuse the masses. Now, you might be sitting there asking me, what do you mean? What do you mean when you say the name of the game is confusion? What is it? Why do you say such? Why are you saying something like that? Because confusion from what? Let me give you context to what I put context in what I'm trying to say here. What I'm saying, what I mean when I say the name of the game is confusion. Hold on for it. Let me make sure my stuff is working properly here so we can get the real stuff, okay? Okay, it is. So here's the thing. Listen, I've always maintained this, and this is not new. If you've been watching this channel, I've explained this 1,000 times, and I will do it again because the narrative is shifting. We are being bombarded with this whole electoral process as it goes on now that it seems like Ruto has picked up whoever that person is as the possible new IEBC chairperson. And the discussion now is, okay, now we are approaching elections, okay? Then there's that lawyer, Jimmy Wanjigi's lawyer, who came out and opened everyone's eyes by saying that, you know what? Election should be even to 2027. It should be in 2026. So you can see the general discussion now is shifting from, the Gen Zs and Ruto must go to okay, let's prepare for the elections. Okay, let's prepare for elections. And who should we pick to be the viable candidate who will replace Ruto, who can actually take out Ruto? That's the discussion. That's where the narrative is shifting. Okay, again, to put things to the context, let me just help you. 2024, June 25th, that's when it all kind of started. Okay, I mean, it started before then, but I'm just saying everything culminated in that day. What do I mean? It started as a finance bill, okay, with the Gen Zs, Kenyans. Let me just not say Gen Zs. Gen Zs are a representation of what majority of Kenyans want, okay, and what they were advocating for. So when the finance bill was proposed and all that stuff that was put in there that was taxing you for everything, including breathing, okay, the people of Kenya started, shutting it down, debating about it and rejecting it, or the housing levy and all that stuff. You remember all that stuff, right? So it boiled up to a point that, the Gen Z were like, no, and the reaction of the parliamentarians, especially the government, the pro-finance bill 2024, 2025, their response is actually what precipitated the whole June 25th thing, because they were really didn't care much about the views of others. In fact, I remember this MP from Molo, I think, who came out and sat there and says, we appreciate you, we appreciate your opinion, but we actually won't consider your opinion when you're making these decisions, okay, when we pass it, all right? So this is what really caused all that stuff. So the Gen Zs came out there and remember the day, that great day, which was actually fateful too, because we lost a lot of lives when people went and marched to occupy Parliament. And they did occupy Parliament, lost lives in the process, and the atrocities that followed by the thing that happened in Githurai. We know the story, okay? But like I said, after that occupy Parliament in 2024, the general feeling, the mood of the country was, now it's not Occupy Parliament, now it's Occupy State House. And Occupy State House meant removing Ruto, whether symbolically or actually removing him through a popular revolution. Because if you remember, at the very same time, there were a bunch of revolutionary movements that were happening, civilian popular revolution that were happening in other parts of the world, namely Bangladesh, okay? So the Gen Zs in Kenya were like, you know what? We see it in Bangladesh, we see it in other countries. It's our turn to do the same. We were successful in Occupy Parliament. We can do this. We can remove Ruto. Ruto can be removed without the ballot box. Sorry, without going to the ballot. Okay, because we are like, at that point it was like 2 years before the next election, but people decided we can actually remove him right now, right? So then we know the story. What happened? Raila Odinga went and quickly ran and joined in with Ruto, and Gen Z movement was kind of quelled down through infiltration and other means, and there was a there was a campaigns anti-Occupy State House movement on steroids, okay? People were there, really, the government and everyone else, the political class actually worked hard to remove, to quell this idea of Occupy State House, okay? So now, they did not stop there. This is what they started doing, because the Gen Zs were airing it out, voicing their opinion, saying, listen, we have no other avenue. We can't vote out these MPs because we do not have an IEBC in place. So the only way we can do is what they did, which was what? Represent themselves directly. And, legally, actually, these MPs shouldn't be, these members of parliament, the legislative body as a whole, shouldn't be functioning, because at June 25th, they lost their power, legitimacy, okay? But let's move on. So the Gen Z was saying, we don't have an IEBC, we can't really remove these people. So the only thing is to go out there and remove them through exercising the first article of the Constitution, which is what? Which gives power to the people, and people representing, choosing to represent themselves directly, okay? So they say they were planning to go to Occupy State House, okay? So this is what the political class did. they methodically and systematically quailed, infiltrated these so-called Gen Zs. They propped up the Kasmuels and the Moraras and the Wanjikus and all that stuff to be people who are speaking your language as the new faces, the leaders of the Gen Zs, which is exactly the very thing that the Gen Z did not want, because Gen Zs maintained they were tribeless, partyless, and leaderless, okay? But now you can hear even the Wanjiru who was on JKL Live yesterday say that the only mistake that we Gen Zs did was not to choose a leader because we need to organize ourselves under a political party, which defeats the whole purpose, what actually made the Gen Z movement more effective. The fact that it was leaderless, partyless, and tribeless, okay? So you remove that everything disintegrates, okay? Karibu sana Francis Irungu, I see you. Like, hit the like button. Mara moja, okay? So now you can see, if you look at the Gen Z of today, now you can see, even to use that JKL interview that I was playing yesterday in my last live session, you can see how they were talking. Some of them are still, one of them said they'll vote for Ruto again. And when asked why, he basically saying that Ruto has done some good things and there's no new option. Kasmuel has already ran, and Karis Njiru, karibu sana. Niko on. Karibu sana, Karis Njiru. Please do not hesitate. Hit that like button. Then you can see Kasmuel, who is rubbing shoulders and shamelessly is telling us that he is actually, Raila Odinga, of all the people, the biggest conman in the history of Kenyan politics, is his mentor. While he was yapping and bleating about giving us a poetic speech at JKL, telling us that, these politicians are gallivanting in choppers while the people are wallowing in poverty. He forgets that he actually had a snapshot that he posted on social media while he was gallivanting in a chopper with Raila Odinga while they were going to do whatever they were going to do. So, hypocrisy in the fullest, But anyway, so what I'm trying to say is this so-called propped up NIS government, British colonial puppets, okay? Because remember, I know some people might be asking yourselves, why are you saying Morara and Kasmuel are British colonial puppets? Remember that dinner that they were invited by the High Commissioner, British High Commissioner in Nairobi, that dinner, and it was specifically Morara and Kasmuel. And everyone, after the picture was taken, it was them and the particular other political, activists who were there, okay? And we were never really told what the meeting was about. We were just told that, hey, they were just invited by the British High Commissioner in Nairobi somewhere, okay? Now, follow up. Few months later, after that dinner meeting with Kasmuel, Morara, and in that British High Commissioner office, these guys are the darlings of the media. They're being sold as the faces of this Gen Z movement. Of course, the Gen Zs have rejected them, okay? But they're forcing us to accept them as the faces of this movement, okay? So can you see the connection? Always follow up these people who are rubbing shoulders with the British High Commissioner. The same thing. The British High Commissioner went to Ishaweri and sat down with Uhuru Kenyatta. We know the Kenyattas and the relationship, the deep relationship, long-standing relationship with the British Crown, okay? We know that, all right? That's not in it. Then we know Raila Odinga's connection with the CIA. Actually, he's a CIA asset who's being used. CIA and the Brits work together, the West, to be exact, okay? So I won't take you that, but let me just focus on what's happening right now. So the biggest fear for the political class was this idea of these young folks who represent the majority of Kenyans standing up and calling for a popular revolution because they are rejecting the whole system. They are taking matters into their own hands against what they want. The political class basically wants us to function within this corrupt, dysfunctional system. And that's why they're working so hard to prop up, campaign, and market these useless, recycled leaders of yesteryears and paid puppets like Morara and Kasmuel to convince you that, You Gen Zs, you wanted some leaders, young leaders in government? Here they are. We've given you. Dioyu Morara and Dioyu Kasmuel. These are one of you guys. Go ahead and vote for them. Now, ask yourself, while this is all happening, there's all sorts of headlines that's going on, whether it's the ODM dysfunctional politics within itself, with the whole Sifuna and Kaluma and the rest that's happening there. Okay, UDA is pretty much dead. They are even consulting with Museveni. I don't know what that's about. You know, UDA and Museveni in one party. I don't know what's all that's about. I don't know how they want Museveni to help them. Maybe Museveni will, you know, ship some people in Kenya to help them vote. You know, vote for them. Okay. Then we have the Wamunyoro Chronicles, okay, which takes care of the Mount Kenya politics, okay, and the whole saga that's part of that, with his relationship with Matiang'i, Eugene Wamalwa, Martha Karua, and the rest of them. So you see, as a public sitting there, listen to me, most people are being wooed or swayed or persuaded or are falling. People who don't know better, the gullible, are programmed and they are meant to believe that these are options, okay? Because it's a multifaceted attack on the Kenyan people. Military, not military, but a mind, attack on the mind, attack on your conscience, attack on your view. They're doing it in different ways. Number one, they are telling you, now listen to me. Let me just, I wish I could write this down. Next time I should write all these things down so it can help you understand how this game is being played. Now listen to me carefully. Ruto must go is now used by Ruto and the administration as a recruiting tool to prop up an alternative, so-called an alternative voice. I will repeat again. The Ruto must go chant or hashtag or mantra is being used as a recruitment tool to lure people into what? Into their false, fake opposition that is financed, sponsored, and delivered by the very Ruto administration. To do what? To take people away from this idea of a popular revolution, because people who have their eyes wide open understand that the problem is not these personalities. The problem, you cannot solve this problem by going to the ballot box or ballot, casting a ballot in your paper on that ballot, whatever the case is. You're not going to change the system that way. If you have your eyes, you be there to see. Gypsy Kona, I see you. Karibu sana. Excusez-moi, I had to take a sip there. Can you guys hear me? All right, so let me repeat this one more time. Majority of the youth, the Gen Zs, I've been telling you this, Gen Zs who constitute the majority of the population of Kenya, who actually are carrying, are the representative of this, the plight of Kenyans. They are actually fighting for the Kenyan liberation, the true liberation of Kenya. And they've identified, after years of this ping pong game, fake political opposition, these games of musical chairs that the Matiang'is, the Railas, the Uhurus, the Rutos, the Karuas, the Kalonzos have been playing One day they're in parliament, the next day they're in government, the next day they are governors, the next day they're MPs, the next day they're senators. These Gen Zs grew up seeing this game, and they've recognized, especially after the last straw was when Raila Odinga joined this broad-based government after years and years of fooling the population, the people of Kenya, that he was actually a progressive, somebody who's pro-change. Of course, everyone realized this at different times. Some of us, like me personally, 2017, I knew this guy was full of it. That's when I actually departed from that whatever. Okay? Now, they're the rest, so what happened is, in 2022, after Ruto and his incompetent administration messed up, and the Gen Z stood up to remove him through a popular revolution, Raila came in his hey, and now is in this broad-based government. Now, I've been telling you this. Since the election is beckoning, the next election, whether it's 2026 or 2027, now you can see the cracks within ODM, because, again, ODM wants to do what? They want to repackage themselves again to pretend that they are actually against Ruto. They can't be all in the government because they've learned their lesson. Listen to me. ODM have learned their lesson from that previous handshake with Uhuru Kenyatta. Because after the handshake of, if you remember, the handshake with Uhuru Kenyatta was rejected, 2017. So when Raila got into the handshake, he got into the handshake by himself. That's number one. He left everyone else. So come 2022, it was easy for Ruto to play this hustler versus dynasty narrative, run with it, because he mentioned how Raila's silence while Uhuru kept on looting and committing atrocities for the last 5-10 years, whatever the case is. Okay? And that's why Raila lost the elections in 2022. So this time Raila learned his lesson. He's not going to be quiet. Of course, he's a faker. He's pretending that he's against Ruto, but it's just a political maneuver. This is part of the confusion that they're bringing. So this time he's saying, I learned my lesson with the Uhuru last 5 years. I'm going to pretend that I'm not with Ruto, but I have a memorandum of understanding of things that I want seen to be done in order for this arrangement to be valid and in place. That's why you see that whole Sifuna and all these people, Orengo, speaking up. But it's fake. Because that's why I'm telling you, if it was real, I usually tell you, no one on ODM, Orengo or Sifuna, no one can take a position that is contrary to Raila's Raila's position. They will be fired on the spot. But he's maintaining that the Sifuna and Orengo are being used, encouraged, told to say what they're saying, to tell the public, to signal the public, especially the Gen Zs who might be buying into this nonsense, to think that, oh, you know what? Watu, they're not all the way in because they're rejecting what Ruto is doing wrong. Because in 2020, the next election, before the next election, wakienda campaign, watasema, unajua nini? I was the very person who we were speaking against Ruto when Ruto was bringing Shah. Mimi Sifuna nilisimama nikasema hatutaki Shah. When Ruto was killing the Gen Zs, Mimi Sifuna na Mimi Orengo tulisimama tukasema hatutaki hii maneno. You can't be killing people and sijui nini. That's why they're pretending that they are opposing Ruto, because they know they want it both ways. In case Ruto falls, they have a reason to say, oh, you know what? That broad-based wasn't broad-based because we were trying to help Ruto so that we can stabilize the government and bring peace, but Ruto was not listening. And we were even vocal. We were speaking. Remember when we were speaking? That is what they will be telling you. You understand? But all this, all this, and the same thing with Wamunyoro, Riggy G is in one WhatsApp group with Raila and Ruto and Uhuru. Believe me or not. That's why even in his speech today, all of them are trying to recruit the Gen Zs, the heart, the representation of majority of Kenyans. What? Concerns, protests, and kadhalika. Unaelewa? Gen Zs are the face of the Kenyans' plight. Hao ndio wana represent Kenya. Hao ndio sasa ndio MPs. They are faceless, tribeless, leaderless. Ndio maana unaona the political class want to wamesha recruit hao akina Kasmul na Morara, and they're presenting them as the face of the Gen Zs, the leaders of Gen Zs. So wakiongea hao akina Kasmul wakienda kwa hizi talk shows, wakisema kitu wanasema, unaona, hao ndio Gen Zs. Hao ndio Gen Zs wanaongea. But they're not the representative of the Gen Zs. They're not. Nobody looks at them as, oh, they're speaking on behalf of Gen Z. They've tried so hard. Remember Kasmul's last few times when he went to Spice FM and he was like, oh, we have to consult the collective and all that stuff, as if he was propping himself up as the leader of the Gen Zs. Because they want to take full control of this movement and give it a face and a leader and give it a political party. That's why you hear this nonsense called the Revolutionary Alliance, ambayo walikuwa nayo jana. Si mnakumbuka? They want to make it something that they can actually point at and say that is the Gen Z. Because the Gen Z ilikuwa kama maji. You don't know who is who. It's just a movement, organic movement ambayo ina flow. No leader, no tribe, no nini. It's just young people. And this political class were trying to diagnose, wakaingia huko ndani. Wengine wanasema hii ni kitu ya watu wa Mount Kenya, wengine wanasema hii ni sijui watu wa Western, hii sijui, wakajaribu kuipatia sura, wakaeka Morara hapo, wakaeka Kasmul hapo, wanajaribu na hao wakina sijui Wanjiku, I don't know what's never, wakaeka wakina Boniface Mwangi hapo, waikoroge pia huko ndani, wakina sijui Fanya Mambo, Kinuthia, hao ndio maana unaona. Listen to me, anyone who is speaking against the administration and the whole rotten political system haizi kupatiwa nafasi ya ongee in a national television, hii media, hii mainstream media. They'll never give them a chance or give her a chance to speak. Mnanisikia? Anyone who has an effect and is radically opposed to the corrupt Kenyan political system will be blackballed and will not be allowed to speak in any major media, mainstream media. Hawaezi mpaka uende huku kwa social media ndio unaweza kuongea, na hata huko pia watakuattack. Ndio maana unaona channel kama hizi wanatuma hao watu ambao wanajifanya ati they are for some opposition candidate. These are people who are working for the government, are sent ndio to your channel, because they don't want that voice to be the dominant voice. They want the dominant voice to be the Kasmuels and the Moraras and the Hanifas and the Boniface Mwangi, because these people are in their pockets, bought and sponsored by the state. Now, that's why I'm telling you, e-confusion is a multifaceted monster with very different avenues of actually attacking the Ninio. Because I told you the main goal for the political class need to do what? To make sure majority of Kenyans don't have this idea that popular revolution, a peaceful protest, a direct representation of the people by the people to render Ruto as a regular civilian and not the President of the Republic of Kenya. is something that they will not let you do. Ndio maana hawataki mkuje pamoja. So they will throw this Morara and Kasmuel in your faces and promote them with money. Wakiwaambia wazumze the same things that listen, if you want to recognize them, if you want to listen, let me give you a tip. Let me give you a tip that will make you recognize them. Let me help you. Any politician, any individual, anybody who stands up who's telling you he's running for anything and anything, any political position or representative position, who is not addressing a total overhaul of the system, is part of the system. Kuna mjamaa nimekuja ati sasa wanasema ati unaona another state sponsored ninio buffoon anajifanya ati yeye sijui, I don't know what's his name, he was from Kenyan Special Forces, ati sasa wanamweka wanasema ati this is our Traore. I fell off my feet and off my chair and started laughing. Ati huyu ndio Traore wetu, ati he's running for president, he's been in the Kenyan Special Forces sijui army or whatever the case is, I don't know what's his name. Alafu anasema ati some people write wanaweka picha yake, alafu anasema ati he's our Traore, he's our Traore. Sana wauliza, Traore aliingia kwa presidency through kura. Traore, was he voted in? Ibrahim Traore, was he voted in? Ni waulize. Lakini wa Kenya mkono. Nakwambia zile jokes ziko hapa nje. But that's what niwaambie. I'll repeat. Anyone, any so-called political candidate or any individual who's politically active who wants to go to the elections, whether it's 2027 or 2026 or 2030 something, akianza kukuambia ati sijui vote for this person or vote for me or vote for that person or whatever in the next coming election, that is somebody who is for the current corrupt system. Huyo ni mtu ambaye analipwa na NIS. And let me correct some people who are saying, because there are some people, let me just deal with this. I have to deal with this argument because the argument that I get a lot from people are saying ni hivi. Watu wanasema hivi. Ati, let's do what Kenyans did in 2002. Ati, let's show up in droves, in millions, so that we can overwhelm. Hata Ruto akiiba hawezi kuiba tuishinde, tutakuwa wengi sana. I want to deal with that argument because it's a legit argument. It's a legit one. I mean, I'm not going to put you down for thinking that way. It's a very legit point. There are people who are saying, again, for those of you who are at the back, I'll repeat. There are people who are arguing that let's just go for these elections. Tuende tukavote in this election. Tuchukue ni kura, tuchukue ID, whatever the case is, register to vote. Na tuende tukavote overwhelmingly so that we can remove Ruto. Overwhelmingly. Kama vile tulitoa Moi. Yote yanawezekana bila Moi. Yote yanawezekana bila Moi. Hey, we shall do that and tumtoe. This is how I'll answer this, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you're listening. For those of you, I want you to listen and write it down. This is why it will fail miserably. Because we actually tried that. It was done after Moi 2002. Notice what happened in 2017. 2017 is a perfect example of how this whole idea of voting overwhelmingly against a particular candidate will not work. Right? All right. Let's go. What the political class will do. Let me just use Ruto since he's the villain, he's the main guy. Okay? Let's just use Ruto. Some say me at we are going to overwhelm Ruto in the ballot box. Tutatoka. Wamama watabebwa kwa mgongo na kila kitu, hata watu ambao hawana macho watapelekwa wa vote. Kila mtu tukatoe Ruto. What Ruto needs to do, and which was done in 2013, and was done in 2007. This has been done. What, 2007? All Ruto will do is this. Ruto needs 2 constituency. Let me not even say constituency. Let me just use this. Let me just say this. All Ruto has to do is to cast doubt on the result of the election. What do I mean? I know you're looking at me like, get to the point. I'm getting to the point. All I want to write this down, mental note. All he has to do is to cast doubt on the results of election. This is what I mean. Okay, tuseme watu wamejitolea, tunaenda kuvote, tunaenda kutoa Ruto. Watu wakachukua kadi sijui ya kutoka wapi, watu wameregister, pungulu, tunaenda kutoa Ruto. Tukavote. Ruto needs to rig. Okay, tuseme Ruto, tumeangalia provinces. I'll go by provinces. Ruto, where is he from? Rift Valley. Rift Valley, tutaambiwa Rift Valley will vote 100%. Everyone voted. Forget the registration, the registered vote. Itapita your registration, people will register. Alafu tuseme he stays with Raila. Let me just use that as an assumption. Ataenda tuseme ameshinda hata Nyanza, okay? Then he'll choose another one ambayo atarig, okay? Then what will happen is this. He'll come out and say, ata Western, nilishinda lakini kura iliibiwa hapa. You know, both parties waliiba. Though yeye ndiye ameiba na amekuwa announce ameshinda Western Province, okay? Lakini atasema hapo niliibiwa kura. Okay? So, he will say this. Everyone stole. Mimi niliiba? I mean, he'll not admit that he stole, but atasema ati there was discrepancies on both sides. Okay? My votes, some of it was stolen, were lost, and for the other candidate, their votes was also kind of lost. Just to cast doubt. In order to take it to what? To the courts. Okay? Because he will be declared the president. Wacha niwaambie. Sina meshaeka yule rafiki yake, sijui rafiki ya Nanok, who is a friend of Ruto. Si ndio? Si nao ndio wamesimamia ninio na wakina sijui nani. Nyachae. Okay? IBC ni yake. My friend, IBC ni yake. Unasikia? IBC ni yake. Can we establish those facts before we go mbali? IBC is full in control of IBC. But the IBC wamejua ukweli kuwa watu wamejitokeza kwa milioni kutoa Ruto. So they have to doctor this thing. And they will use the same trick ilitumiwa na Kibaki. What did Kibaki do? Kibaki alijua alimechukua kivuitu wako kwa mfuko. Kibaki akasema, ngoja. We hesabu. Nyanza imeshakuja. Haya. Western imekuja. Haya. Nairobi je? Okay. Wapi? Turkana huko Northeastern? Okay, imeingia huko. Haya. The last place to be counted was what? Mount Kenya. Why did they do this? Walikuwa nataka kungoja kuangalia wameshindwa na watu ngapi. Yani, what's the difference? Same thing it was happening in US, in Michigan, Wayne County, Arizona, was it 2000 and what was it? 2012, was it? Vile ile Biden na Trump. Trump alishinda, lakini walimuibia. So basically walisema, and the people are overwhelmingly supporting him. But anyway, this is how they do it. Wanaacha, ndio maana unasikia Wayne County in Michigan was the last one. Even in Georgia was the last one to be counted. Tukaanza kuambiwa ati yes, sijui mfereji hapo maji imemwagika sijui nini. So basically what I'm saying is this. They will delay your election day, wangoje hizo the strongholds of the opposition zikuwa counted zote. Okay? Alafu watajua difference ni ngapi. Wameshindwa na difference ngapi. Alafu Rift Valley itapelekwa juu, and then wata add and subtract in all those so-called battle zones. Okay? So Ruto atasema, I'll argue that, wale wa Turkana, they were on the middle. They were my people. Coast Pia is kind of a cosmopolitan place. walinipigia vote hapo. Sasa anaongeza hapa na anaongeza pale, anaongeza pale. Then he's declared the president. Okay? Server haitafunguliwa. Atasema server is being owned by Waturuki. Amwezi kufungua. Server amwezi kufungua. Mwende court. By the way, all elections after 2007, all of them go to courts. So do not expect this one to be different. The next one, if we ever have one. Okay? Itaenda kotini. Kotini nani yako Supreme Court? Unajua nini itafanyika? Yeah? Ile siku, the night before hata hiyo Supreme Court. Watchman wa Supreme Court Justice, first of all, security yake itakuwa withdrawn to pass a message that you don't dare. Na isitoshe, hata watchman wake atachapwa bunduki auliwe. To send a message that ukicheza, do not even try. Do not even try. Alafu nyinyi mtangoja, mnangoja hapo vile mnasikia, mnafikiria Koome ataangalia hivi, atasema tuko na opinion moja tu, tumekubaliana. After reviewing everything ninio, hii ni hot air. Ruto have won. Kamili ameingia. Alafu usuru mtaenda protest. Mnaenda protest. Ruto atasema these protesters are being sponsored by some opposition party here ambayo they don't want peace in Kenya. I am the duly elected. Hao watu, hebu chapeni hao watu bunduki wakileta nyef. Makelele. Haya, British Commission anaingia hapo, wanatuma sijui nani anaenda huko, Elon Musk anaingia Kenya. Anakuja kunegotiate peace hapo. British sijui nini. Wanaita wale wao wakina opposition, Matiang'i sijui nani, wakae hapo. Haya, meeting ndio hiyo. A grand meeting. Alafu nasikia in order for us to have peace, tutakuwa na grand coalition. Sasa Matiang'i atawekwa vice sijui prime minister, Raila sijui ndio prime sijui nini, sijui Musavuli sijui nini. Then they might even propose a constitutional change. Watafanya hivyo, but the power will still remain with the president, who is Ruto. And all these minions, since they wako na cheo na wanapewa red carpet na nini, they will not care if Ruto is still stealing or not. If in fact they will be sharing the loot with Ruto, and you shall be ruled for the next whatever case it nio. The political class bado wameshinda, because who will come to rescue them during this grand coalition na hii mazungumzo, easy talk? It is the same Western colonial masters who will send their emissaries to come and supervise this discussion while they're talking how to divide this power. But they will maintain Ruto as the president, who will the center of power will remain with Ruto. The Constitution 2010, ilipitishwa 2010, promulgated in 2010. The whole idea was to have a devolved system where power does not lie in the center, Nairobi, where Ruto akiamka anasema barabara ijengwe hapa, inajengwa huko, msijenge kitu. But has anything changed? Because Ruto is still doing the same thing. What has changed? Nothing. The constitution iko hapo, lakini haifuatwi. Wanafuata tu those places that they feel is not a threat to them. That's why you see the presidency is the mostly hotly contested mashindano ya kushinda any other of course with the MPs and whatever, but the presidential one is always kwa sababu they understand once you become the president, hii constitution ambayo inasema the president's power is limited ni karatasi tu. Ruto went to Migori and told them ati sijui nimewapatia basi mpya. Should the president come to Migori and give them a new bus? Governor hawezi kufanya hiyo kitu. Ara anakuja hapa ati nimekuja kulaunch hii. Hiyo si kazi ya president. What does that show? It shows that power really never was devolved. The functions were never devolved. The president is still the head of the kingdom. Unaelewa? That's what I'm saying. So what I'm trying to say is this, for those of you who are calling for ati tuende tukavote nio. Now, by the way, that whole idea ya kuenda ati, in 2002, hizi wanasiasa wote walikuja wakashikana pamoja, wakasema acha tutoe Ruto. In 2027 or 26, whenever we are going to have this election, hao wanasiasa wote waende kushikana pamoja wote. They are not, because half of them are paid by Ruto. Salasi akisimama hapo, nani Morara akisimama, hawa kina Kasmuel, what do you think? What is their role in this? What do you think their role is? Ni kuleta ma division hapa, msizungumze na one voice. But the whole thing, even with Wamunyoro, even with Matiang'i and the rest of them, Wamalwa, Karua, hawa watu, they're all working to achieve one goal and to maintain power within the corridors of the political class. Hiyo power isiende kwa wananchi. Do not, by any means. Your maana they are ready to sacrifice. Ikikuwa mbaya watadivide ninio, wataanza siasa ya ukabila, na utasikia hii kabila hii imeanza kuchapa ile kabila mshale, na wale wameanza kuchapa watu, wameanza kuwana hapo Sondu sijui wapi. They are ready to bring chaos in order to maintain power. Ndio maana tunasemanga power ni kitu haipatianangwi, especially in Africa ninio. Inachukua na force. So for those people who are celebrating at yule mtu wa anaitwa nani, I don't know who he is, at the new ninio, Traore never went to the ballot. Because why did Traore did what he did in Burkina Faso? He understood that you cannot go to the ballot in a corrupt, dysfunctional system and expect a result that reflects a fair, verifiable, transparent elections. That cannot happen. That's why Traore akachukua bunduki akasema, chali, toka. Na sio tafadhali. Not right now, but right now. Because power is not given. Democracy is an illusion. For those of you who are sitting at the back, news flash, breaking news. Democracy an illusion. There's no successful democracy. Name one country that has succeed democratically. Name one. Not even the US. Name one. UK? Democracy gani? UK hata in fact squeeze nasikia, was there a law wanasema tukisema kitu kwa online unaweza kukamatwa UK. I mean, I'm conflating the term with free speech, but that's part of democracy. There's no history in the history of mankind, there's no successful democracy that have succeeded. The greatest experiment for democracy was America, is the USA. And the US is a private company. It's not a country. It used to be, but it's a company that is based in Washington DC. It's a corporation, to be exact. Corporation. Go do your research. I'm not going to get into that. Hizo ni ninio. Do your ninio. Wewe fanya research yako. Mimi sitawafundisha leo. That is too deep. Nyi bado mnangangana na mambo ya Matiang'i. Sasa tukiingia huko, si mtazama. Nisiwapeleke deep sana. Fanyeni tu ninio yenu. I'm arguing this for anyone who thinks that there's a successful democratic nation in the world. Please, I invite you. Nitakuwekea link hapa. We can argue point by point. Tell me, what is the successful case of a democratic system in the world? One nation. My argument is zilch. You are going to have a form of dictatorship. Benevolent dictator. Let's take an example of Libya. Uchali alikuwa anaitwa nani ambaye alikufa? The one nani alitoa? The person, Muammar Gaddafi. Gaddafi was a dictator, right? But why do we love Gaddafi so much as a success? What made him so successful? Gaddafi was a dictator, but he took care of his people. He made sure the people, service delivery. ukifanya kazi you can live well, kuna healthcare, free healthcare, masomo. In fact, they had a program where if you get married, mnapewa nyumba na gari, I think. And it will send people, ukitaka kusoma abroad, they will pay for you free. Choose the university ambao unataka kwenda. Ukitaka kwenda Harvard, watawalipia fees for the full year. Unasomeshwa na unarudi in order to come and build the country. So Gaddafi helped. That's why Gaddafi, they had a surplus. They never was Ninio. Of how many, was it trillion or billion? 500 billion or something like that. Reserves of gold ambayo imeibiwa na hawa watu. Thank you, Francis Rungu. You see what I'm saying? Hakuna kitu kama democracy. Only Mungu ndiye aliwapea democracy. Mungu ndiye, you can argue that. God is the creator, is the one who gave you democracy, the idea of democracy. Lakini binadamu, hakuna binadamu anaweza kubali demokrasia, ndugu yangu, hakuna. Hakuna kitu kama hiyo. Hakuna. Acheni. But anyway, the argument is this idea of Atituka overwhelm Ruto by voting overwhelmingly for a particular candidate cannot happen because, number one, Ruto knows that, and that's why he's propping up multiple candidates to scatter the votes. That's number one. Number two, he is in control, fully control of the IEBC. I usually tell you the famous quote by Joseph Stalin. It is not the people who vote that decide an election. It is the person who counts the vote. It is not the people or the number of people who vote who decides the elections. It is the person who counts the vote. Ruto understands that. Ndio maana IBC, he made sure he's in full control of it. Sasa mkileta hiyo ujinga ati mnataka kuenda hapo sijui mnataka kukusanyika kama wa Kenya, na sio ujinga, but I'm just saying ati mshikane nyote ati mnataka kumtoa, atasema sawa, kujeni. I'm the one who's counting it. Of course, indirectly through his IBC minions. Mwende mpige vote, tunasikia hiyo mashini imekatika, hii mashini haifanyi kazi, sijui votes zimepotea hapa, sijui same result, same system. Alafu at that point ndio sasa mtaenda kupiga makelele ati mnataka kutoa Ruto. Ndio maana naambia watu kama Maraga au Kio Mtata, these are people who are talking about sijui pesa zimeibiwa, this sijui 15 trillion iliibiwa with this government has borrowed sijui. I get that. Good point. Well and good. But you know what? That's irrelevant right now. It's irrelevant. Ruto tumejua. Kesi ya Ruto ishakatwa na watu. It's finished. The verdict is out for Ruto. Ruto anaondoke. Na si Ruto peke yake, nyote kama political class. Hiyo kesi imeisha. Usituambie ati pesa tumejua pesa iliibiwa. Pesa ilianza kuibiwa vile Jomo Kenyatta alikuwa president. And they've never stopped since then. Whether it was Moi, whether it's Kibaki, whether it's Uhuru, whether it's Ruto sahi, wote walikuwa naiba. Kabla tujaingia hiyo sijui audit, tunataka sama kusema Okiya Mtata and nani huyu Jimmy Wanjiki, mnatuambia mambo ya pesa. It's okay, hatukatai, mnatuambia, it's good to know mmefanya utafiti yenu, lakini that is not helping anything. Unataka unafikiri tutapata hiyo pesa back kama Ruto bado ni president? Unafikiri tutapata hiyo pesa back kama nani Matiang'i ni president, kama Raila ni president, kama the system is still in place ya kuweka his minions hapo wachukue usukani? Hiyo pesa mtarudisha kama system bado ina produce watu kama Ruto? Because that's what the system is. That's why you see people are willing. Nani alikuwa na chapa, it is alleged Charles Ongondo Were was killing people and finally got killed, but they were fighting for political positions, because becoming a politician in Kenya is the quickest ticket to becoming an overnight billionaire. Mbadi of Had has purchased property worth 100 million in the past 5 months that he has become the minister of CS of Treasury. Why? And he will never be questioned, audited. or prosecuted. Why? Because the system is designed to support this criminal behavior. Na nyinyi bado mnaongea badala kuangalia kusafisha hii system yote na kutoa hii rubbish yote. Nyinyi bado mnataka kuargue about Wamunyoro, Gachagua, Raila, Ruto, sijui Martha Karua, sijui nini Okiya Mta. Wake up. Amka. Mnafaa kuchapwa mbata. Amka. Amka. Stop arguing about stupid people. Same people who have put you in this place wamekuweka hapo. Yani nyinyi mmesha kuwa colonized kwa nini? Kwa akili, to the point yani you still are looking at this people. They're still looking at these people to be your savior. Ati sijui Matiang'i akiingia president Are you normal? In fact, anyone who supports Matiang'i is mentally ill. And not Matiang'i only. Anyone in this political merry-go-round, Karua, Ruto, Raila, Ruto, Uhuru, sijui nani, Salasia, you are mentally ill. Unafaa kupelekwa Mathare or Portreats immediately. Upimwe kichwa na udungwe shindano. You cannot be serious. Hii hata si Stockholm syndrome. Hii ni plain wazimu, downright wazimu, kichwa mbaya. You are mad. Absolutely. Psychotic. You need a psychiatric evaluation immediately. Yani ukae hapa unianze kuniambia ati Matiang'i is going to make a good president. Ati Matiang'i is the one who can face Ruto. Yeah, are you serious? Raila, Molo, Tenga, Piringenye. Mko serious? Me, I cannot. That's why the voices that should be heard, especially on these social media spaces, that we need to speak louder and come together from all corners of this great nation called Kenya and make it clear that the problem is this whole system that keeps on producing the Rutos of this world, the Uhurus of this world, the Railas of this world, the Karuas of this world, the Matiang'is of this world. The people who want to maintain power by impoverishing the majority of the citizens of this nation. Wanawatupia tu crumbs. Na nyinyi mnapiga makelele, Raila Tiringenye, Uhuru, Ruto, We will never have change if there's no accountability. Law enforcement. Enforce the law. Nani akisimama hapo anasema ati huyu Jimmy Wanjigi na Omtata wanatuambia kama trilioni sijui ngapi imechukuliwa, and they are quoting the ninio. They are quoting the constitution, the articles that has to deal with what needs to happen when somebody steals public money. Why do they still have confidence that it's you vote for a certain president? You see what I'm saying? At you vote for a certain president, this president will bring change. What change? Watu wapelekwe kamiti. So, in summation, what I'm trying to say is this. This coming election, and Aaron Chariot says something because he knows I'm not the lone voice, the lone wolf in the forest screaming. There's a lot of us. He's saying watu ambao wata reject the elections in 2026 or 2027 ni kama watu wame resign to Ruto's 10-year tenure. No. He understands that hii election ambayo inakuja, nobody is going to renew, to respect it. He understands it. Hakuna alternative. There's no alternative. Hakuna opposition. Tusidanganyane. Si opposition. There's no opposition. There's no sane candidate or an honest candidate can come out and say that I'm going to these elections and I'm going to win and change this country. No. Every candidate for the presidency in 2027 is an NIS agent or is part of the political class put there to confuse the gullible. They don't have to confuse everyone, Kenya. But if they have enough number of people, that is what they're gunning for. Because they understand the majority of the scale. Nitu hatuelewani. In the media, mainstream media, tunaambiwa ati election inakuja, it's a legit election inakuja. We should have more voices that are speaking boldly against this whole system. Everyone. In fact, everyone that runs for presidency in 2027 or 2026 is a perfect candidate for committee. Because you are joining the rotten system and participating in it for your own individual gain. All of them. That is how it should be. Occupy State House 2025. Isiishe. Wananchi watoe hao watu na wapeleke kamiti. I want to see Ruto aingie kwa helicopter kimbia aende kwa Museveni ama aende Congo. I want to see Matiang'i akikimbia wote. In fact, I give Uhuru is thinking ahead. I like how Uhuru thinks. Uhuru amejua mambo ikienda mbaya, they'll come for me. Akajenga airstrip outside of his house. Na ndege iko hapo just in case. Ndege iko hapo na airport na pilot amekaa hapo na kifunguo. Very ready. Hao wananchi wakichukua hii ninio, wakitake over, najua watanikujia. Airport iko hapo. I have a runway, private runway hapo kwa nyumba yangu. Pa! Nichie. He's thinking twice. I was thinking ahead. Amejua. I'll give him that. He knows. Ruto ataenda Sigoi. Na from Sigoi atachukua helikopta nyingine akimbia aende Uganda ama Congo. Murkomen tutamchoma hapo nilio. Uhuru Park. Murkomen hapo Uhuru Park. Yeye na Matiang'i. Wakina Kasmuel na Morara tutawachapa tu viboko. Hawa tutawaua. They are just opportunists, young opportunists. So viboko. Hao siwapeleke kwa miti. Viboko. For the next 5 years, viboko. 10 lashes at night, 10 lashes in the morning, 10 lashes for lunch. Na wanakunywa uji na ndengu ambayo haijaiva. Na wanavaa kaptula. Na wanalima every day 15 acres. Na wanapanda trees ambayo Ruto alikata. These are the things that needs to happen. Jimmy Wanjigi atatupatia hiyo pesa yake yote. Alafu hiyo accounting yake atuonyeshe hizo madinio hizo pesa zimeibiwa. Na akimaliza tunampeleka jela. hata yeye. Martha Karua hizo kitenge zake tutachukua, hata yeye pia tutamweka kwa kaptula. Na akimaliza tutampeleka kwa Museveni, kwa sababu he seems to be in love with the Ugandans, but he has to serve 15 years of hard labor. Kalonzo tutampeleka Kismayu akwae mabusu. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, and comrades, it's been 1 hour. The whole point I wanted to make is this. Let's not buy into these elections. The elections inakuja. There's nothing here. Hizi ni usarakasi. Usarakasi ya kisiasa. Usarakasi. Jokes meant to entertain you. Even Farouk accidentally said today ati tunaabudu shetani kwa ninio. Kwa serikali. Ay. Anakuambia. What I'm saying is this. The only solution, and we start speaking in one voice. Hear me out. Hear me out. Let's speak in one voice. And the voice is, the message, the narrative that we should be pushing is this. Let the people decide, not through voting, but through a popular revolution, to overhaul this system of a dysfunctional, corrupt people ambao wanatupanga, who are impoverishing us, don't respect human rights, don't care about the constitution, wanatu hijack, wanatu ua, wanatu abduct, na bado mnawavotia. No, we can't have that. It's over. The time is up. So join me in this journey. It's not going to be easy. Wacha niwaambie. It's not going to be easy. Hakuna kitu rahisi. And it might even take longer. And one thing is for sure, it's going to be messy and bloody. Hakuna revolution na kuanga ninio peaceful. Inaweza kuwa peaceful Mungu akitujalia. But shetani akubali kutoka kwa upole. Hawa wakina ninio political class hawa, they will never live peacefully. They won't. Do you think Ruto? Ndio maana mimi nawaambianga hivi ati mnakaa hapo mnasema mnataka kutoa Ruto by sijui putting sijui nani. Ruto anafanya renovation State House. Unafikiri anafanya renovation ndio Matiang'i aende akaishi State House? No. Because he knows he's going to win. Ashaweka vitu huko hivi. I wanted to touch on Ibrahim Traore. One thing that I wanted to touch on Ibrahim Traore very quickly. I wanted to make this point, but maybe it's a discussion for next time. The reason why Ibrahim Traore is surviving and is alive today is because of the Russians. The reason why Fidel Castro of Cuba, after he removed Batista, survived because he sought the help of Russians. Simuliona Putin alituma ndege na fighter jets ichukue nani? Ibrahim Traore aende kwa ile memorial celebration ya World War II, watu ambao waliuliwa. Yeah? Simuliona ndege ambayo ilikuja kumchukua. They are protecting him. Na saizi special forces, the Russian special forces and Chinese are in Burkina Faso protecting ninio, kwa sababu kuna intelligence kwamba UK and US wako na ninio army hapo ninio Ivory Coast wanataka kuinvade. So they are protecting him. Now anyway, that's the topic of another day. I thought it was interesting. Maybe we should talk about that next time, because I wanted to link it up with this clown that is coming out and saying he's a special forces of Kenyan KDF who's running for president and is trying to make himself look like he's the new Ibrahim Traore. He's not. He's a joker. He's a Ruto stooge. Okay? But anyway, what we need to fight for is for a peaceful, popular revolution, a people's revolution. to remove the current, not only the current regime, but the whole political class. Take him out of power and let us, the people, decide how we want to chart our history. Si ati tunapangwa na hawa watu ambao wanatoa their the directions from Lancaster ama Langley ama whatever the case is. Sisi ndio tuamue vile tunataka future yetu hizo. Anyway guys, thank you so much. Gypsy Corner, Pritika Kaur, Francis Irungu, and everybody else. Now achia hapa hivi. Like, subscribe, share, comment, do all the good stuff. Tukutane kesho ama siku ingine. Do that. I'll see you next time. Peace and blessing. Ama namna gani? All right. Peace.